Hey, 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 welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning. I was looking for a video that I just saw this morning. Somebody sent me. It's Drive Time. That means it's your time. It's our time. We can start saying whatever we want. Good morning, Friendly Brilliant. Look at you getting up so early. It's like 5 a.m. over there on the West Coast. It is 8 a.m. here on the East Coast. The birds are chirping. The rain is lightly dripping. The lizards are lizarding-y, whatever you call them, running all around. The kids are skipping off to school. And speaking about kids, George Carlin said years ago that politicians love to hide behind children. No child left behind. We're doing it for the children, right? Now they're using this same excuse to put up more flock cameras, right?
Of course they are.
Wow, this is such an important time in our history now, guys. This is such an important time. I mean, there should be mass protest in the streets for this, but we can't get together on anything. And by the way, good morning, Dave. Dave said I'm doing something right because he didn't get the notification, even though he subbed. That's what they do, right? They understand. I'm obviously a target at this point. I've been on many
Man,
lists.
I put that shit up at 5:30 a.m. so people would get notifications too.
Some people didn't get notifications.
Yeah,
They didn't get notifications. That's it. Italian men are not protected, not even on their own show. That's a joke, by the way. Kind of quoting somebody else. But no, I mean, like the truthers are not protected. They are thrown into a bucket of bad boys and girls and suppressed and demonetized and cheated and put down. The ruling class, along with the military apparatus that's working. This is all like everything you see online over here is a military. It's part of the military apparatus, and I know Dave would confirm that. It's the military, CIA, DEA, DARPA, all these deep entities that are working together. And like, nope, they have ultimate control over what's going on. They're a government within a government, boys and girls. And now in Florida, since we have so many low-informational voters, I guess that's, I don't know what it's called. It's kind of derogatory. I hate it, but it's the truth, right? Like, and that goes for all around the world, especially in the United States, whether in Florida, Mississippi, New York, whatnot. There are people who are very much out of the loop, don't understand what's going on, not paying attention to what their government's doing. When you talk to them on the surface, well, flock cameras if it's to protect the children, because that's what they're doing now in Florida, in Tampa Bay, right? They're getting up on their podiums and their little press conferences and look at me. We saved 163 kids. And they'll name all their friends and all these people who work together, and then they'll slip on it. And it's because of the flock system. It's to help law enforcement. So we should break a law to uphold a law, right? That's what they're saying. You want to talk about, man, what the forefathers were trying to say. Woo, we are so far away removed from them. So yeah, Flock City, all over the place. And finding out Halloween has become a holiday for destroying flock cameras. MAGA, me. Where are the Democrats on this? Where are the Democrats on this? Does anyone want to get a microphone in front of Abdul Al-Saeed's face and say, how do you feel about flock cameras? Do you think we should have them? Do you think they're unconstitutional? Does anybody want to ask A.O. Sizzle her opinions on flock cameras? I mean, they might say no now because they can read the room at least. Like, these people can read the room. That's the one thing they are great at. The politicians that they put in front of us, the majority of them could read the room. They know how and when and where to lie. They do. Because at the end of the day, if it was Flock that was putting money in their pocket, oh, civil liberty's out the window. So in Florida, in Tampa Bay, they're standing up there. We rescued 163 kids. George Carlin told us, no child left behind. Yep, they are. They are. That was one of the things, right? Like, that was one of the deals. Like, okay, so many of the people who supported Donald Trump this time around were all about certain rules. Okay, you know, we're mitigating damage over here. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them were like, this guy's my hero. We love you. Pray for Donald Trump. But some of them were like, all right, a lot of indies. We're mitigating damage here, right? If he's going to neuter the tech companies because they did it to him, right? They did it to him, so now he's going to protect freedom of speech. No, he's not. No, he's not. The tech companies are censoring and, what do you call it? Sac passe. There they are. There's Miss Jean. They are censoring and shadow banning more than ever before. Now they got nobody even speaking. Nobody in the government speaking out. Remember, everybody was speaking about it because Donald Trump was being picked on and bullied, right? So they were mitigating damage. Like, all right, we're going to go with the big D because at least we get our freedom of speech back, right? All this dystopian fourth industrial revolution, great reset. He's a nationalist. He's not a globalist. So all the globalist tools, the track and trace, the spying powers, they're going to go away because he's not going to allow the government to do it. Yeah. Freedom of speech as he points to the anti-Semitism bill. Our beautiful, beautiful Israel. It's beautiful. Love it. It's great. Morning to all, Uncle Brother. Uncle Brother's up nice and early from Georgia. We're talking about flock cameras. We're talking about how people got duped. We're talking about, okay, you know, and that's what we did on WBAI last night, the drive time over there. We try to talk. We try to have discussions on, like, what is going on? What are they going to do now at this point? How are they going to lie to us? How are they going to convince us, the Democrats now, right? How are they going to convince us to vote for them? I mean, that every time the swings right now, it's the ruling classes. Can we keep this system alive? Can we keep this pyramid scheme going? Do we have to close up shop? I mean, they make adjustments within the pyramid scheme, but how do we keep our power, right? Well, for one, I think all those oligarchs and those globalists and those bloodline Babylonian bloodsuckers, you know, they're hiding behind everything. Flock has a powerful new AI tool for police. We got its code. You can't give the state that power. They'll never, ever, ever use it just for good. Didn't you see Batman, Morgan Freeman? I destroyed this thing over there. I just couldn't do it. The sonar system. He turned every phone into a sonar system, whatever, to track and trace people. I was wondering if the CIA put that out in that script to test the waters on how the people feel about it. Well, if it was to get to Joker, if it's to save the children, let's geofence and put cameras up everywhere.
I mean, that's why they've been using the children as an excuse to try to squash encryption for like 20 years. So,
what do you think about the new Facebook and Instagram, their new terms of service and their new way of registering people, right? Please, once again, they want to get you into track and trace, and they're like, oh, we have to protect children. This is about protecting children. And I get it. Like, I have a friend who puts his teens' Instagrams on lock and stuff, right? Quintus,
yeah, but look, dude.
They get it too. This kid keeps finding the codes to his mom's thing, though, so it's...
Sorry, sleeping. I forgot which company it was. It was Discord. It was either Discord or something like that had to start doing the age verification shit. Yeah. And hackers immediately fucking got that shit.
Yeah.
All kinds of IDs, all kinds of shit, dude.
Floating out there.
I'm like, yeah, I don't want to give these people that private greedy ass company that has no security, my information. No thanks.
Yeah.
It's not like it's the government that's holding on to this. These are private companies with shit for security. It's dumb.
Partnerships, the government. That's their gravy train, though. I'll tell you that much. That's their gravy train. Check this out, Sleepy, too, as well, by the way. me just say good morning, fuck ice. This is not one of those ice ones, but it's the Morton Salt one. It's an old school collector's item. My mom had it. It's the Morton Salt girl. You know, in the new anti-ice posters is they have the Morton Salt call throwing salt on the ground. Hey, if you're over here watching us from Rumble, you decided to choose this show instead of watching a show talking about Jesus, right? And what else? Anti-immigrants. What do they got over there on Rumble? I mean, holy cow.
I don't go over there too much.
Dude, they have stripped and removed the independent thinking from media like there's no tomorrow, right? They make me want to get up and do this. And I don't care. I'm humbled. I'll start from ground zero again. I'm doing it. I don't care. But it's important to create communities where real media is going to exist. Real solutions are going to exist where we can talk about the actual problems. And right now we're at that phase, right? Like that early part of that dating. You know, it's kind of like you're on your third date. You're starting to learn stuff about your date you didn't know. And then you learn like a big area where you guys kind of don't agree on. And then you just start talking it out. And it's either like, okay, this relationship is going to nosedive and go south. It's out. Or it's going to be like, hey, well, you know, I don't respect that person across. Wait, excuse me. I didn't use my wrong words. I don't agree with that person across from me, but I respect it, right? That's the conversations we're having. Why should we even do this? Can we do this anymore? People aren't listening. What's really going on? What are the real problems? Colonialism, white supremacy, right? See, and that's the thing. We've talked about white supremacy on the show, and white supremacy is a hot button topic for the progressives, right? You know, it's so much of their movement, of their people. It's a narcissistic thing, right? I want to put myself on the line, you know? I'm recognizing that we're racist and I'm here to support, right? It's about the person. It's really not about, you know, it's about them exploiting. And that's what the whole Democratic Party does. It exploits, you know, a certain group of people at a certain time for a certain need and a certain benefit. Whatever they want to do to further their agenda, they'll exploit somebody else. And they'll wag your finger at you and say, how dare you? Racism's the problem, sir. Yeah, but you're the one writing racist policies, you asshole. You're the one who's saying it's okay to bomb brown and black people abroad. But you want to say that the Trumper that used the N-word while drinking a Meisterbrow on his porch that has zero power is the problem? How much money did you take from Raytheon, sucker? So that's why we form this community, and that's why we come here, and that's why we talk.
So a little housekeeping. If our phone lines mess up today, the number's supposed to get ported today. So, but if it goes down, it'll only be down for about 10, 15 minutes. So,
yeah. Well, we are kind of switching over phone stuff. We'll see how that works out. But now we have a queue. We can call you back. And if you want to jump into the conversation, 561-247-2721. That's 561-247-2721. Morning shows are sometimes tough because people, they don't want to talk to anybody until they get their coffee. I've been in that kitchen before, kind of stumbling on out, and my sister's been there, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. What do you do? I'm like, gotta have my coffee first. Gotta have my coffee. Can't even comprehend. So I know it's rough getting people up nice and early in the morning to get them on the phone to talk about things, but if you want to be that person, 561-247-2721. That's 561-247-2721. And just like that, a phone call is coming in. Are we ready, Sleepy?
I have my coffee.
Yeah, mute your stream. Mute your stream.
Nice and early in the morning to get them on the phone to talk about things. You want to be that person? 561-247.
Hey, you got to listen to us on the phone, not the stream, or it's going to be delayed by like 40 seconds.
Like that.
No sweat. I'm listening just to the phone. Daryl McPherson.
You got to turn the radio or the computer.
You got to turn your stream off. We can hear it.
Early in the morning to get them on the phone.
Oh, I apologize.
It's okay.
All good.
Oh, it's going to be a good day today.
It's always a good day.
It sounds like a WBAI caller. How you doing? Good morning. Who is
This
this?
is true.
I know who
Daryl
this is.
McPherson, Bronx, New York.
Who is it?
Craig. Daryl.
Daryl from Bronx, New York.
the
What's going
Bronx.
on? From the boogie down Bronx. You
I
found
decided
us.
to cross over and see what's happening from 8 to 10.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm smiling.
least I
I'm
can do.
blushing. I'm happy. Thank you, Daryl.
Listen, I had this revelation. I've been watching all this stuff on the revolution, the United States Revolution, and then that whole time period. Guess who paid for the ruling class to become, quote unquote, free from the British ruling class in what now is called the United States of America, better known as Turtle Island?
Who?
Okay, so I went to the government website.
Are you looking for a
and
certain
they said,
family member?
well,
Or
No. This is like really tripping me out. The French paid for most of the revolution. Where did France get the money? From their colonies
England?
in the Caribbean. Haiti. Haiti, the richest colony in the world, and who is now deporting people 84 people 2 times a week to an island that they said is unsafe at any speed? The United States of America. That's called gratitude.
Wow, it's come full circle. So the French raped the Caribbean islands, you know what I'm saying? Took advantage of free labor and slavery, took all the natural resources, took that money, and then funded the colonies because France and England back in the days, they had their little tiff-taff, very so close to each other, Europeans fighting, and said, hey, let me help you on out. So it's actually on the backs and the blood of the people of the Caribbean nations. And that's who we're bombing
and
today
South
in the
America,
waters.
because you got to throw Spain and Portugal in there, a little bit of Africa too. But the challenge here is, for me, Craig, is that how do I package that so that the average American would be able to understand that that rather than taking their own exploitation out on the people who they think are causing that exploitation, when in fact, if it wasn't for that labor, they wouldn't have able to have been exploited in this country. They would still be in Europe slaughtering one another.
Yeah. How do we? All right. So this is great. We're starting off with the easy stuff this morning, ladies and gentlemen. And Daryl, I got some questions for you too, as well, because I know how things work in the democratic, leftist, progressive movements, right? Like I was an activist there. I was getting in the streets with teachers and getting in the streets with nurses, and understood supporting labor. I attended a lot of those Black Lives Matter protests that they organized when it came to George Floyd. That means I didn't go to the other side and didn't check them out. But it does seem, right, like, and this is a very serious problem right now. And this is an issue I have at the end of the day, why. And I don't want to play that game of which side's worse than the other, because then we get pushed into this thing about, okay, well, you have to make a decision, the lesser of two evils. They force the two choices down our throat, and then they say we have to pick one, right? And then they put us into this quagmire.
Remembering that they're both evil.
Yes.
Remembering that they're both evil. So you're going to pick evil no matter what you do. Now that makes no sense. But we do it anyway because that's what we're told.
Well, they make it make
Right.
sense because they use these issues that we're going to talk about right here because it is mainly the populist right? And we've had these conversations about, oh, well, that's just what you see on Fox News and Newsmax. The majority of conservatives aren't as anti-immigrant as you think. Bullstein, they are. They think that one of the biggest problems in this country is immigration, right? And I live in South Florida. There's a strong, a large Haitian community. They mean so much to the community when it comes to our restaurants, our healthcare. A lot of your nurses in your nursing home, the majority of them, a lot of them are Haitian, right? So you had the president in a debate literally staying on stage. Now, he didn't say the word Haitian, but he was referring to Haitian people, saying they're eating the cats and dogs. And he was saying, he even went further. He said they're eating the cats and dogs of the people who live there, as if they're sneaking in your house, MI6 style, and grabbing Fluffy and then taking him to the barbecue. I mean, that's the and people go along with this stuff. We have a huge anti-immigration block in this country. And it's illegal and they shouldn't be here. And it's like, holy cow, that all the problems that we have would go away if we got rid of immigrants. That exists. And I think Daryl pointed out something amazing today. It's like they're the ones who helped colonize this country, that allowed you to be here. You keep talking about the forefathers in the United States of America. Well, it was off the backs and the bloods of the Caribbean islands, including Haiti. And I put up on the screen how the ruling class hates Haiti because Haiti was the first and only at one point to break their change, to lead the Bolivarian Revolution. So how do we square that circle? How do we get people to, I mean, first of all, I think they're like, what the goal is right now is like, you just mentioned that they're going to put forth evil. They're going to make you vote for evil. How do we get people out of that mindset that they got to play right or left, red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican? Start there. How do we do that, Daryl?
I would suggest that we start with a massive education program to educate especially the Irish and Italian part of the population about how their exploitation on this side, forget what happened in Europe, their exploitation on this side. I mean, how many people know, what was it? I'm trying to get the date right. I think it was, let me look it up. But anyway, 11 Italians were hung in Louisiana who came to Louisiana to cut sugar cane. And they took jobs away from the African population. So they couldn't have been paid very much to do that. And the Italian government sent representatives over to protest the hanging of their citizens. I mean, Italians didn't become white until the 50s almost.
Yeah, that was
the Irish didn't become white until like the 30s, right? The Irish didn't become white until like the 30s. So one must understand how you and by when I say white, I'm not talking about a phenotype. I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about the privilege.
Class. Yeah,
I'm talking about the privilege you get for being in this country, right? And so, with regard to the immigration situation, that gets addressed by getting economists that people will listen to, so that they understand that not only your local neighbor that you like, but if you want to eat, you got to have somebody coming here to pick, because you ain't going out in the fields. And until the robots come in, you depend on oppressing usually the Central American, North American, which would be Mexico, population that comes here to pick your beans and pick your how do you get that population going if you keep it out? I bet you this year that let me see, there was I'm trying to think. I'm getting this picture of Delaware and Maryland and the crab situation. They used to import laborers to do a lot of that work under certain visas that now the administration is either trying to revoke. And people are saying, yay, yay, jobs for Americans. Well, those jobs have been there. Americans don't want to do that work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can show people rationally, and I think more and more as this immigration and immigration criminal enforcement folks get more and more out of hand. I mean, I'm really shocked that showing somebody getting shot in the back with 9 people around the person hasn't like inflamed a little bit more activity than it has. But I mean, that's just the way it is.
Which situation is that? By the who got shot?
That's Alex Preddy was on the ground and got shot in the back.
Yeah. Oh, he was shot while he was held
Right.
down,
I mean,
too. Like, they held his ass down and shot him. Yeah,
right.
And
Face
here's
down
the
in
thing.
the snow.
Yeah. And here's the thing. He was there. When I say there, I mean the populist right, the Christian right, whatever you want to call it in this country right now. He was their guy. Like, he was a vet. He worked at a hospital for veterans. He would advocate for veterans that had nobody there for them. He would say prayers for them when they would pass away and like hold little ceremonies. I mean, that guy was one of them. Like, he was everything you wanted. And yet they still were like, nope, ICE is needed because we got to get rid of these immigrants. And who do you think the flock cameras, who's using those
Once
flock
again,
cameras?
it has to do.
Yeah.
It
Go ahead,
has
buddy.
insufficient publicity, total coverage of just showing the film over and over and over again. And say, explain to me what these trained individuals are doing in this situation. I mean, if you look at the Renee Good shooting, she got shot because both her and her partner mouthed off to the person who shot them.
Well, they were following
she was
them
saying
too.
Goodbye, have a great day. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like you watch that video and you say, how come that guy's not under arrest?
Yeah.
Because all they said was, have a great day, you know, we're leaving.
Yeah. No,
but
they knew about this, Daryl.
Go ahead.
They were talking about this back. They had to be talking about this back at their headquarters. They knew there was a bunch of people who were policing them, right? Because of our Constitution, it's legal for us to police the police. People don't understand that. If we don't impede and get involved, but we're allowed to stand aside, be at a distance, criticize them, yell at them, film them. They're supposed to have to identify themselves. They still don't know how they're getting away with the mask and all this BS. So they understood that there was a group of people who were policing them, right? So it goes a little bit deeper. But yes, I hope I didn't cut you off because I do have something to say. Can I jump in real quick and kind of address some of the things you said real quick, Daryl?
Craig, it's your show.
Yes.
I'm just trying to help.
You were speaking, and I don't want to be rude to cut you off. If you didn't finish a thought, I would step back and let you finish a thought. That's just my mama raised me right, Daryl.
You got it right.
So this is a big problem on the left, the progressive movement, right? And I know this because me and my business partner, Fiorella Isabel, you know, how I got to start in this whole thing was a show called the Convo Couch. It's now called the Truth Wire. Fiorella is on assignment, so we haven't been doing it as much. We usually do it 3 times a week, but we were activists out there. And the reason why we started a show is because we knew that there wasn't the proper education being doled out, right? Not that I'm superior in any way and I thought I can teach people some stuff, but there did seem to be a lack of understanding of foreign policy and also the intelligence agencies within America, right? And that's important because I think, unfortunately, it was a blind side for a lot of progressives, a lot of Democrats, that they didn't understand what's going on, right? When you talk about education, we got to educate people, but this is the problem. The ruling class and the social engineers out there, the ones that understand how to move the mentality of a society, how to get them emotional and go in one way, right? How to get them into the streets if you need to be on one side against the other. They understand that if you can control the narrative and you can control the education, you can control the society. They also understand that people like something called confirmation bias. They don't want the real truth, Daryl. They want something that's going to confirm their biases. So they've provided that, right? By having very hardcore partisan news. Your team is right, their team is wrong. And that's what goes on. And right now, they are making sure, and this is why we need to be principled. That's why we need to have freedom of speech. That's why these websites, these platforms that have become the public square, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, especially if they're going to get protections from the government. And they all do, in case people don't know out there, Section 220 of the NDAA, right, which is, it's even though it's the National Defense Authorization Act, it has a clause, 220, which protects all these companies, Facebook, Meta, Twitter, as long as they agree to act as a platform and not a publisher, you can't sue them. So they have protection from the government. We have to understand that we are the government, essentially. That's what the marketing says. And if they are going to be protected from any type of litigation, they need to have an open source system so that we can see everything that goes on. They have to be transparent. Yet they're getting protections from the government, right? Getting to keep their software, getting to keep it proprietary. They get to choose winners and losers. And you can tell that they're working in conjunction with the government. The FBI, the CIA, they have not only backdoors, but they have a lot of influence in what these social media companies can do. So, with that being said, Daryl, and this is why I say the left has to understand and learn about the CIA. They can just look at documents. They don't have to look at all these stupid theories out there because they immediately say, oh, what you're saying is right-wing Alex Jones tropes. That's the argument out there. Like, no, I'm looking at a CIA document that says, like, for instance, Operation Popeye, where they tried to, where they put things in the air. This is where, a lot of proof that geoengineering was taking place. They're putting things in the air. We have a CIA document that shows this. This is not made up Alex Jones shit. This is the truth. And the left doesn't look at that. But what I'm saying is they are controlling the means of education right now. They understand they have a lot of low-informed people that are reactionary, that are emotional. So they can move them in a certain way, Daryl, right? By just tapping into their, I don't know, their emotional wavelengths or the chords, whatever.
Right.
They can do that. So how do we educate people in a climate like this, right? Because what they did was they made believe that it was all conservatives that were getting censored. It was Dan Bongino in the Twitter files, right? Poor Dan Bongino, all these other right-wingers. They didn't say anything about the left. They really tried to make it about one side. They tried to make it about one side censoring the other side, when really it was the state censoring one side at that particular time, hardcore, but still censoring the other side, the population. They were censoring anti-establishment, anti-imperialist voices, and they're still doing it. And now we're in a situation where the right is in charge. They have full government, right? They have control. The Republicans have control of the Senate. They got control of the House. They got the presidency. And nobody's even talking about the censorships going along. Donald Trump was never against censorship. He was just like every other politician, like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, that came before him. They're about censoring a certain group of people, not all the people. So what do? when they have a cuffs, they have a suppression on education, and we can't even educate people properly. Daryl. Easy
Oh,
question.
thank you for making it easy.
Easy,
Okay, so
easy.
the first thing,
But listen, I just want to make sure that we're acknowledging the problems, Daryl. That's all I'm saying.
right? And what I'm saying is that if a person is emotionally attached to the outcome of a situation, especially if they're wrong, A, they if they admit that they're wrong about one thing, then they have to go back in and look to see what else they're wrong about. So the admission will never happen unless you're able to reach them emotionally, desensitize whatever they're attached to, and then present the fact again in a fashion that they're able to understand. Because most people operate in terror 24/7. I'm going to lose my job. How am I going to pay my rent? And on top of that, they call themselves Christians. Now, the lunacy of that is if you just take a cursory look at the book, not a whole lot, the book says, A, you won, so relax. 2, if you have a problem, give it to the deity that you say you believe in. 3, you are physically healed of all disease processes. Now, why doesn't that work? Because people don't believe it. They say they believe it consciously, but where does 90% of your decision making process come from? That's the question, Craig.
I was thinking about that. I was going to say your gut. I don't know if I'm right, but your medulla oblongata.
Close. No, the gut is closer. It comes from your subconscious, right? That programming that you receive from whenever you were conceived until 9 years old, when the tape is running continually and you're sucking down information like crazy, that's the importance of getting them before they're 5 years old. Because you can pump stuff into them, meaning human beings, that they will swear to no matter what kind of physical proof you give to them, because they've been programmed to only accept certain things. Mm-hmm. What is the wonder of this particular age? We have the ability to change that programming, to stop the tape and put in information that is actually in the interest of the individual that is operating on this vibration. Remember, we're all... this is another one that's a little bit disturbing. However, if people think about it, they'll and know anything about science, they may be able to accept it. Do you realize that we're speaking in the past tense? In other words, in order for me to have a conversation with you, if it was all real time, we could really never have a discussion, because you'd be getting the information as soon as I gave it and coming up with a response as soon as I gave it. How could that work? We have to be in the past all the time. It's just how far in the past you are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about the whole situation. Like, we're speaking and it takes time to get to the brain for me to get a thought about it, tap into that subconscious, and come out with an idea or an answer. So, yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. Go ahead, Daryl.
Right. So if we're always in the past, yet we're acting as if we're in the present, that's a major challenge. And so then you and I'm less versed on this than I need
Yeah.
to be in order to say this. But if you look at quantum physics, right, in which until you observe it, it doesn't really happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Then what we choose to put our senses on, eyes, ears, skin, whatever, is how we then begin to interpret the vibrations that come to us that formulate the thought patterns and all this, and our relationship to one another. So
Yeah.
let's bump it back to before. I was listening to the People's Forum, and they were talking about like the Bronze Age was like the beginning of real trade and stuff. Well, let's bump it back to the more basic organizations of human beings, right? If you could do away with the hierarchy for the most part, you then see that each individual has a part to play in the functioning of the group, and it is wise for each individual to I'm going to use the word bolster. It isn't the word that I really want to use, but bolster, support, and bring out the best in individuals as compared to in monopoly capitalism, whereas you attempt to cripple the people in your organization so that you can rise.
It's almost like a form of anarchy, right? Sorry. When you talked about moving the hierarchy and the way to do that, that's some reverse engineering. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the queue, somebody's on hold, hold on one second, Daryl. Let me just let the person know. If you could stay on hold, we're just having a conversation.
Sure.
We will get to you. Kyle Anzalone is here. Daryl, go ahead and make your point, because
I'm going to make the last piece of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the last piece of this. And what I want you to do is, when you get an opportunity, go to a channel on YouTube called Moonshots, in which they talk about artificial intelligence, what's happening, and et cetera, from a quote unquote positive point of view. However, if you look at the folks who currently have the most capital, they could assuage the population that they're beating into the ground much easier by clothing, feeding, educating, and providing rest for that population now, rather than waiting for the quote unquote system to work it out. Monopoly capitalism requires slavery in order to work. Now, the condition of your slave can be something like compared to sports, right? The best players get what the average individual thinks is a huge amount of money to participate in this entertainment industry. However, no one's asking what the club owner's making, how the club owner's taking even more money out of the population through the political system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's the kind of education we need to get into. How does Kathy Hochul in New York City she wanted a deal with the Seneca, I think it's Senecas, who were up for getting free of New York State, paying money into New York State. So she embargoed. This is the wrong term. She embargoed all the money that the indigenous people had in banks and held it We're talking about $500 million. She held that money so that the indigenous people had zero money to operate in a system that requires you to do money. Sound familiar? Iran,
Yeah.
no access to the SWIFT system, so you can't operate.
Yeah.
So
Same. It's the
Kathy
same old
Hochul
playbook.
does this, and then
Yeah.
and then turns around and passes a law, uh, basically giving that $500 million over to the owner of the Buffalo Bills to build a new stadium.
Yeah. Let's.
So we're looking at extortion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to
I'm
say,
done.
I want to get to the next caller though, but I do want to kind of put a bow on this conversation. I want to welcome Kyle Anzalone. But here, I see what you're saying, right? And we're talking about reverse engineering, going a little bit deeper, understanding the conscious, understanding what, and this is what I think we need to do this, right? Eventually. But I think we also have to work on the surface level, right? Because I think that things happen right now and they've gotten society split up in two ways. My question to you, Daryl, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a black man from the Bronx, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when I was in the progressive
77 and
movement,
a half.
yeah, when I was in the progressive movement, and I was at the Bernie Sanders diner, and there would be a racist speaking, saying very bad, vile things about black people. Remember the guy I told you, the Trump supporter with the "Make America Great" Again hat on, sitting on his porch, drinking Meisterbrau's, making slurs and stuff. Do you think that person, even though he's talking hate and racial issues, right? He's being racist. Do you think that person has the right to speak and say those things?
Yes.
I knew you would say that.
He's speaking out of his
I knew you would say that. But do you understand that as a party, as a group, as a whole, they tried to censor and shut down that person, saying it's hate speech, right? I'm talking specifically from you. You were watching the People's Forum, so we come from the same place, right? From the same, we were probably hanging around that part. We probably voted Democrat a lot more than we voted Republican. But you understand what I'm saying is that group, that entity would say, we have to shut that down and silence that person. So my final question to you is, Daryl, and I'll give you the last 60 seconds. And thank you for calling in today. We had a great chat. And we only just hit the tip of the iceberg. You understand that freedom of speech is freedom of speech across the board. Unless I'm advocating for violence, how do we shut down and get people to understand? How do we get immigrants, black people, people of different cultures to understand that we have to somehow allow that racist to be a racist and somehow deal with it, right? Because once they start using this mechanism to say we're shutting down that racist person, that person is vile, is disgusting, what he's saying about black people, we need to shut that person. And that's what happened in the Democratic. That's what they did, ladies and gentlemen. When we got shut down, we got lumped in because we were bullying people. The convo couch was part of hate speech. This is how they do it. How do we convince the people out there right now and the people that will be in the streets, Daryl, to not be so reactionary and say that that person has a right to say it, even if they are talking vile and disgusting things about you and your race? How do we do that? And that's a lot easier question than the last question, by the way. 60 seconds. We're here in drive time in the morning with Daryl.
Once again, Craig, it's the same thing. If first of all, if you shut that person down, then when you are speaking, no matter what the subject is, you are liable to be shut down by someone who thinks that you're insulting them. So really quickly is that you listen to that person, you put it in context. Where could that possibly be coming from? And then you answer the person on an emotional level of, if you see this way, you find parts of the argument that you can address that would bring agreement out of the person so that you can make the person less fearful, because that's where all that hate comes from. It comes from fear. People who are in love, who are fearless, always speak in love. People who speak hate have fear, which comes out of that program I talked to you about from 0 to 9.
Daryl from the Bronx, ladies and
Change the
gentlemen.
tape.
Yeah. Daryl, thanks for moving on over in the morning.
Yes.
Come chilling out with us. We need early callers here. Most of our callers come after 9, so I do appreciate you coming on in and being an early call. We'll talk more about this too as well. This is going to be a conversation because here's the thing we're going to have to transition to right now, Daryl, and I see it coming. Now it's the time where the Republicans, the conservatives, right? They're in power and it's almost on purpose in my mind. This is why I think it's all kabuki theater where Donald Trump is just acting ridiculous. So now they can sell you the Democrats as that lesser of two evils, except they won't use the term evil, Daryl, but they're going to sell you that term. And we're going to have a lot of conversations out there to talk about. Thank you for calling in, my friend.
I will be with you, Craig. Thank you so much for being on the show.
The pleasure's all on this side of the table, my friend.
Oh, give me a little bit.
No, I'm telling you, I'm giving you it all. Thank you for calling in. It was a great call, my friend. And I look forward to more conversations like this. We need this every day. We don't need this once a week. We need this every day. So it's here.
Well, I'll do the best I can to stay with you.
Thank you. That's all I ask. Do the best you can, my friend.
All right, Craig. Thank you.
All right, buddy. We have a couple callers in the queue. Kyle Anzalone is with us. Are you at a different location, sir?
I built myself a studio. So I got, not green screen. This is all actual physical stuff behind me. I think it looks pretty cool. I got this picture of my dogs up here. So I like it.
I'm going to do the same. Your camera's really messed up because you look like you're in a sideways
Oh,
house.
it is turned a little. It's Batman.
You're like in Willy Wonka's
Batman.
house, like, right? You're on a slide, like
there you go. Also, I would like to congratulate Kyle on his 500th article on antiwar.com.
Wow. Don't we have any soundtracks to play? Any claps? Any woo?
All I've got is ringing in my ears. You want to get to this?
Let's get ringing. We got calls in here. You're watching Drive Time in the Morning. Give us a call, 561-247-2721. We just had on Daryl from Brooklyn, from the Boogie Down Bronx, not Brooklyn. Who's the next caller? Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Bob from Atlantis. How's it going?
What's up, dude?
What's happening?
I know I told you to call in yesterday.
Yeah. You told me to call in. I call in. It's what happens.
Did you want to talk about something specific?
Well, I just had a couple of things to say from Daryl's call early on.
Please.
First of all, where France was getting the money that they lent to the colonies is pretty cool. Like, I love that history and whatnot. And they were also in Algiers, and the French Empire was in a lot of places maybe they shouldn't be. And that's one thing that we definitely agree on, is that you shouldn't go into these. You shouldn't go into other countries and mess with people. You shouldn't exploit people in their own land, for sure. Where I kind of, where I want to push back a little bit is that I think there is a compassionate argument for, first of all, our CIA goes over there and messes with them and creates the problems that causes the immigration in the first place. But I think there is a compassionate argument for trying to, reduce immigration, trying to help people be prosperous in their own lands. And in terms of, Americans aren't going to pick the fruit or whatever, I really think that in a free market society, in basically every country in the world, people are able to pick their own fruit. I think the issue is that we're spending all that money on the defense industrial complex and upsetting the entire economy. And we have all of these resources to put into data centers and surveillance and militarized police forces. If we if we were picking our own fruit, maybe, some of that extra effort towards militarization and surveillance wouldn't be available to the state. You know what I mean?
Can I jump into the conversation right now? And since we have a good
Absolutely.
libertarian that's here with us, really is not part of the Libertarian Party, but that was an interesting part of the conversation on the debate stage when all 9 candidates were up there and they would talk about immigration. The guy who was an ex-cop, who was the vice president candidate for the Libertarian Party, had probably the best view on immigration that I thought out of the 9 candidates up there. He goes, that's what made this country great. Right? We shouldn't be having this immigrated status we have. Immigration is what makes this country great. We're all descendants of immigrants. We all came from immigrants. You know what I'm saying? When he started talking about socialism, I get nauseous and say, shut up. But when he would talk about the fact about the border and the way people looked at it, it was very much on my mindset. And also, when I talked to him too as well, he talked about something that you mentioned, Bob. And I'm gonna let Kyle jump in this conversation, since Kyle writes for antiwar.com and he just wrote his 500th episode. The reason for immigration coming directly from our foreign policy and what you had talked about, the CIA going into these other countries, and CIA is like a front for all the oligarchs, right? And they're a government in a government, they get to rule over our government. But that's never part of the conversation. Is it, Kyle? When people talk about immigration and whatnot, like, though they're illegally here and we want to push back against it. Yeah, but the reason why they are here, the main reason, and I hate when people, I don't hate it, but it's just almost ridiculous when people, well, we got to find out for sure if it's the reason why they're here because of our foreign policy. When you're dropping bombs in their country, people are going to fucking leave. And they're going to probably go to the place and say, this dollar here, which is the most prevalent, where is it made? Where does it come from? We go there. That's what they're going to do. It's never part of the discussion. The problems at the border don't start at the border. So if you want to have that conversation, Bob, I'm down for it. But you got to talk about why there's so migration to begin with. Kyle, go ahead, and then we'll pass it back to our caller.
No, I 100% agree with you, Pasta. The only thing I would just add is a little bit more detail to say, it doesn't have to be dropping bombs in these countries. It could be picking unpopular leaders who don't lead the country well, don't represent the people. It could be sanctions on countries, propping up or arming certain drug cartels, our factions, our militia groups. We've done all this in Latin and South America. And, from the libertarian perspective, it's kind of like almost every other government policy, right? Where the policy is largely covert. It's not discussed with the American people. And then millions of people show up at the American border, which I think you can have a real problem with. You could also think it's fine. I don't think there's a definitive libertarian position on that. I think that the border or the migration situation under Joe Biden got a little bit out of control. But like I said, with every other government policy, this is downstream effects of our wars, our interventions, our sanctions, our drug war. And if we would take care of that, it would create an immigration flow into the United States that was positive for the country rather than overwhelming and disruptive.
Bob?
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100% agreement. Yeah. Step number 1 is stop interfering in foreign countries. Stop doing what France did.
How do we handle that, by the way? Anytime
Absolutely.
anybody starts complaining about migration being a problem, how do we say, whoa, it's your foreign policy, keep it in check? I mean, Bob, do you or Kyle, do you guys have a solution? That since we're a solution-based show, how do we start when people start bitching about immigration, how do we get them to realize that our foreign, because they seem to just pass it over like it's nothing, Bob?
Well, I think I think the cause and effect are, I think the intention is to flood the American workforce with cheap labor for the American industry. I think that, it's certainly a byproduct that the Koch brothers enjoy. As Bernie Sanders used to say, open borders is a Koch brothers policy, right? I think that's by design, and that's the way that America has always been. From day one, you and Daryl were talking about the Italians, or I don't know who came over first. The Irish probably came over first, right? And the Irish were the Irish were the immigrants that people didn't like, and then the Italians came over. There's that movie Gangs of New York about the Irish and the Italians fighting at the Five Corners, right?
Yeah.
It's the way America has always been, and they've always divided us over it. They've always had the people that got here earlier against the people who are coming later, and in every case, they use it to drive down wages and to benefit the oligarchs, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy to see like a lot of the Latin-born American people being so, I don't want to say racist, but so mean to the people that come from their homelands. Like, I did it legally. I got here. I was born here. How dare them come over here? It's like, dude, and that's the thing. We were called WAPs, Italians, without papers. We didn't come here legally. They just we got on a boat and came over here and said, let us start building some buildings for you. Let us start opening up some good. We bring you, America, the pizza. Let us in, and we came in.
Yeah, it's not all bad when you guys came over. There's some good too.
I mean, one point, Pasta, though, on the people who say I came here legally. A lot of the times, the immigrants who will say that are people in the working or lower middle class, and so when you have millions of people flooding into the country, driving down wages, those are the people, Americans that are hit, are the recent immigrants who are, working those kind of jobs that are either, not getting raises, not getting kept up with inflation, or they're losing their jobs. So, cheap, illegal migrant labor could be hired in their stead.
Okay, and I don't mean to cut you off, and I'm going to cut you off because I've had this conversation so many times out there with people. I mean, I live in Boca Raton, Florida. Okay, fine. But really, that gets back to the job. It's not the argument we should be having. Those jobs will always be done by the new immigrant coming over here. It's the fact that we have no industry in America that's the problem. It's the fact that the politicians that you support shipped our jobs overseas. We don't have factories. The reason why the children of the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, it started getting really bad when the 70s started happening. But the reason why they have the nice things that we can't have, a house with the white picket fence, is because they had jobs. They had manufacturing here. They worked in factories. We shipped all our factories to exploit even cheaper labor than we get here, right? I don't want to say we, but the oligarchs did. And that's the problem. We don't make anything anymore. We don't fix anything anymore. And by the way, when we talk about picking fruit, people should be picking their own fruit. We should have the means to do that we don't even have the means for people to have their own land and pick their own fruit, which is a whole nother problem. But the argument about driving down wages and all that stuff, it really doesn't play with me, because the problem is that we shipped all the real good jobs out of this country here, and to begin with. And I'll let either one of you guys address that first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add, Pasta, that a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And so addressing this problem by addressing the American foreign policy, rolling back the sanctions, or trying to build new industry in the United States of America is going to take years and years and years, right? And so people have immediate needs, and particularly—
But it starts tomorrow. If Nike were not to go out and make all their shoes in Indochina and in Laos, and they opened up factories tomorrow, like when Michael Moore said, let's open up a Nike.
Factories don't open in the United States of America tomorrow. You have to get environmental assessments. You have to get all kinds of permits, and you have to, have the fire code and all kinds of different planners on different levels coming. It takes a long time for industry to build in the United States, because all the regulation, and whether you support that regulation or not, it does slow down how quickly capital can actually come in and build something new. And look, with inflation where it is in the United States of America, it's caused Americans to have a real high time preference, right? Where, everything is about the next week, the next month, all within the next year. People aren't looking years down the road to what a policy could do for us in the long term. It all needs to be addressed in the short term. And that's why Donald Trump, the message to the American people in 2024 that he's going to shut down the border and stop new immigrants from coming in was a far more powerful message than what I would have said, which is end the aggressive wars and the sanctions and the interference in foreign countries and the drug war, because it, you know, even if we did that, it would still take time for these countries to, you know, take their governments back from the cartels, start to reorient their states, start to have governments that are representative of the people and that are creating economic situations in Latin and South America that are good enough that people aren't coming to the United States of America. That all just takes time.
But also, too, that argument was based upon a lie. It's one thing if you say, I'm going to take back, we have to stop immigration for the flow of jobs because we need to build an economy and working class in America. That's okay. You can have that conversation. But when you're lying and saying they're bringing us, they're criminals, they're thieves, whatnot, that's a lie. Because
Sure.
if you sit there and you say to yourself, okay, well, we're doing this to build our economical situation, then you start thinking about why are there so many useless regulations, right? Like, because I have a level-headed mind. I understand that the left puts blanket thought process over regulations, and they look at it as protections, right? It's not regulations, it's protections. No, a lot of these regulations are put in there so the small guy gets weeded out and the big corporation gets to get all the honey. We have to understand that. We have to look at that. And if you address the immigration problem honestly, we'd start looking at things like that. We'd start looking like, why aren't factories opening here in America? Oh, maybe it's not just about the cheap labor. It's about the fact that these governmental pigs who've been paid off are putting up these regulations that are unnecessary and are crushing small businesses. Let's keep the regulation that says you can't put oil, piss, and shit in our water, but let's get rid of the regulation that says that you need to have 4 assemblymen sign off on your code to build an elevator. I get that. We could do that. And that's the problem. This situation is not being addressed fairly. It's being addressed as a bunch of crime is coming into this country. And every single time you look at the statistics, whether it be from the FBI's own website, if you look at all these other advocacy groups that look at crime, you'll see that immigrants, whether they be documented or legal, whatever you want to call them, or you know, illegal or illegal, they commit far less crime than American-born citizens per capita. It's ridiculous. I mean, most of these people who are coming into this country, let's address it for who they are. They're workers. They're not sending us their worst. They're workers. Go ahead, Bob. Get it if you want.
Absolutely. So you hit on like 3 wedge issues right there, and yeah, 100%. When you're arguing against the conservative or the Donald Trump wedge issue, then yeah, your arguments are correct. Like that's a silly argument. And I think his argument is a silly argument. And I think that that's by design, right? When they go on Fox News or they go on CNN on the left or whatever CNN is now, they're intentionally feeding, you know, whatever the normies, the like boilerplate talking points so they can just shout at each other and really get nowhere. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in, is because we keep falling for those traps. And I know, you know, and there are, you know, and Kyle's making the arguments that I would make. I really have nothing to add in terms of arguing, you know, what we need to do or explaining the situation clearly. But they do want us fighting each other, and they do keep giving us like terrible arguments to use against or to use on use when we talk to each other.
By the way, everybody, you're watching Drive Time in the Morning. I'm here with my co-host for Thursdays, the big ragu himself, Kyle Lanzalone. He just built a beautiful studio. You can go check him out at antiwar.com. He just hit up his 500th article up over there. He also has the Kyle Lanzalone Show. You can find that like on your YouTubes, on your Rumble. The caller is Bob from Atlantis. He's a Rumble guy, usually hangs out on Rumble. We're talking about immigration, CIA, coups, programming, the whole 9 yards. We do have somebody waiting to make a call, so I do want to put a bow on this one. But Bob, I'm going to give you the last 60 seconds, but I also want to address the second part of the conversation that we had, right? When we're talking about people don't want those jobs and stuff. The programming from the American child, from the school, the education and whatnot, right? Like I talk about the way I was taught that our imperialism was not imperialism. It was good foreign policy, going around fighting for decency and human rights. when I learned years later after school, after what I was taught from those textbooks, that we were really about a bunch of rich men getting a bunch of poor men to go fight their wars so they can steal the resources and stuff. What about the programming that has taken place, right? With the people that are out there right now, they haven't been programmed to kind of do that labor that needs to be done, right? I mean, isn't that a problem too as well? What I'm saying essentially is that I think when we address these issues and we see what's going on, and we talk about our foreign policy, and it leads to migration, and it talks about the labor issue that we have to drive down wages and take jobs that could possibly be there, and there's regulations why we talked about all these things, but what about the way society is now programming our children and program the last couple generations? Isn't that a huge problem of this issue? Last 60 seconds, Bob from Atlantis.
I think so, and it cuts both ways. We definitely keep talking about picking fruit and who's going to clean, like Nancy Pelosi says, who's going to clean our toilets? You know, like we keep talking about these jobs as though they're less than, you know, what Americans should ever do. And I don't, that is part of the programming. And then a lot of the programming also, in my opinion, is the left-right paradigm, right? They teach young kids the leftist perspective, and older people, and then they keep switching it up. They'll come up with something new to teach the kids so that they disagree with their parents and so that we stay divided. They're really good at finding ways to like create two narratives where half of us see it one way and half of us see it the other way. And it's hard to know. It's hard for me to know when to push back against it, to take one side and say, listen, you've gone too far. I know I hate wedge issues, but no, I'm not going to be pushed around anymore, you know, but that's where we are. That's the world we live in.
You just said it's hard to find when you push back. For me, it's sometimes finding a way to how to push back. Kyle, do you want to put a bow on any of this, the programming of children?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said, that, you know, they try to wedge issues in elementary school and middle school and high school, particularly at public schools, between children and parents to, you know, I think make parents' knowledge look illegitimate to the children. That way the government is able to feed children whatever they want through government schools.
Yep. Wow. Bob, thank you so much for calling in, my friend. I do appreciate it. I saw you in the chat yapping yesterday. I'm like, you should call in, Bob, but you're here today, and I appreciate you loving and supporting the show, man. You got nothing but love in your heart, brother. I appreciate you, dude.
Absolutely. Likewise.
You got it, buddy. Bob from Atlantis, guys. Oh, there's Exit Knights of the Malta, jumps in the chat, and right there, he certainly takes the lead. He's out of the gate. He's moving fastly. I love you, buddy. That was my little horse racing little thing on the script over there. We're here with Kyle Anzalone, the Big Ragu. Sleepy J's on the ones and twos. We got some callers calling in. Gabriel Freedom can show you all the ways you can help the show out. Independent media. If you guys can help out in any way, shape, or form, right? We got to start getting business oriented here as we continue to grow, find out ways to make the show better. If anybody out there does cutting videos and wants to help on out and got a good talent, give us a call. Hit us up on our email. We'll show you all the ways you can do that. We do appreciate all the love as we are growing this community. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from?
I'm still trying to find myself in White Plains, but it's Russ without the fuss.
Russ, 4 times in a row. I got Yahtzee with you, brother. One of my favorite callers. Russ, I know you're enjoying the conversations today. What do you got for us?
I really did. And, you know, when I listened to the chat, I watched the chat the other day, and I said it seemed neurodivergent. You know, I didn't mean that in a demeaning way. You know, it takes one to know one. But I realized I looked at 45 minutes of the live chat and missed most of the first hour of your show. And now I see that the Jesuit Maltese guy is coming in. He's very disruptive, so I might as well talk to you if you don't mind. But
Gotcha.
Craig, I would like to add that Bob mentioned 5 corners. I think it's called 5 points in New York. I hate to correct, but everybody seems to want to be correct about things.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Daryl has migrated over from WBI. He's a heck of an iceberg, and sometimes the tip is enough. But I want to ask you about something you said on WBI, because I have a comic book understanding of Karl Marx. And, you mentioned yourself as sort of being a Marxist, but Marx admired capitalism for its efficient allocation of resources, and Adam Smith knew that capitalism had to have strict regulation. And I think it was Bakunin that said that Marx was wrong and you have to have anarchy because the power structure will never yield without violent counter-revolution. So it's not the communists that are doing it. But what I'd like to ask Kyle, because he looks kind of like Leon Trotsky, is that do you think that Marxism is necessarily anti-democratic and incompatible with the United States, or should we portray it in a different way? Communism is the end result, and I don't need 30 seconds. I'll donate it to the other callers, and I really enjoy the show, and I'll keep listening. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to hold on so you can comment back? Because we don't have any in the queue right now. You can.
Okay. Let me know when.
As soon as we get somebody in the queue, I'll let you know. But we don't have anybody in the queue. You're it.
Great, Craig. Well, I appreciate that. That's you manage the show really well. I really think you do a good job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Russell from White Plains, who doesn't really like to correct people. You know what I'm saying? He does it often, but he doesn't like doing it. Just for the record,
right.
Kyle, please go right ahead and maybe we'll start calling you Kyle Trotsky ends alone. What do you think?
Oh man, you're killing me here, Pasta.
Libertarian here, man.
But no, I would argue that Marxism is antithetical to American ideals. Personal freedom, personal choice, being able to do what you want with your own life, and having the ability to have control of your own life. I think the level of state control under Marxism, communism, socialism just doesn't work. Now, I guess that doesn't mean that Americans can't one day vote and then be happy under a Marxist system. I wouldn't be, but other Americans might be. But I don't think it's in line with the values and principles this country was founded on.
Right. Can I mention something about that, Kyle? I'm sorry, I'm looking at your face. But
go ahead.
As a Buddhist, I think that personal choice is an illusion. I think that we're all just conned into this corrupt system we have. And when I heard the other day, and I'm 70 and a quarter, Daryl, so, you got a few years on me, but 90% of Chinese own their own homes. And in the United States, it's 60% and declining. And I mentioned that to this idiot Greg Kelly on WABC, and he said, well, they all live in grass huts and cardboard boxes. I mean, it's just insane. And that's the other point I wanted to make with you, Pasta, is that it's not about winning debate with right-wingers, because it's about silencing you and shutting you down. That's what they do. But I want to encourage Daryl and anyone else to call these right-wing stations. WABC is open, and, for a while they'll let you go on, but once they get to know you, they generally ban you. But I think libertarianism, it's strange. I like smoking pot, and I'm glad you guys worked for that. But
all right, well, stay with us, Russ, because there's a few things. Russ, stay with me, because I got my things to say, and I want you to because I want to have we have nobody in the queue, nobody's holding on. And if anybody wants to call in and follow up on. If anybody wants to call it in, follow up Russ, 561-247-2721. So far, we've had Daryl from the Boogie Down Bronx. We've had Bob from Atlantis call on in. Now Russ is calling on in. We have a lively show today. Let me say this much, too, as well. I'm going to digress a little bit, because you guys have also had these conversations. And I can jump right on what Kyle has said and kind of have a conversation there. But I've done that so many times. When I've allowed Kyle, I've told Kyle before how ridiculous the libertarian mindset is on economics, and we've talked about this before. So let me go back to what you were saying and address that. I am kind of like, I'm not a hardcore deep Marxist, right? Like, I've read a couple. I think I have a book on Engels over here somewhere. I've looked into Marxism. Now, the only thing I'm saying is that the thing that I embrace from Marx is that it's a labor movement, right? It's about strengthening labor. I believe in organized labor. I believe in unions. I believe in people coming together to make sure that they are protected, right? And work as a group so therefore they can leverage their power to get the things that they need. That's what I take from Marx. The reason why I talk about Marx too as well is because what the populist right has been harping on, what they've been talking about, is this thing called cultural Marxism, which didn't even come from Marx. Cultural Marxism was something a friend of mine called it campus Marxism. It was created years after Marxism, right? It had nothing to do where they integrated a labor movement with cultural issues to squash it. It is a CIA, cultural Marxism is a CIA invention. And this is why I get so crazy about the Bolshevik Revolution, right? Because people talk about Candace Owens, her whole big thing right now, you know, with this guy Dan Bilzerian, right? It's all about the Bolshevik Revolution was a revolution that's all about Jews killing Christians. That's ridiculous. And the thing about it is that when you look at the Bolshevik Revolution and people like Don Dubar, who can talk about it at nauseum because they understand about it, it was a revolution. It was a peasant revolution from the poor. It was about soldiers that were so sick and tired of fighting these ridiculous wars from the Tsar that they would hold signs in the street that said, "Bring us peace." About farmers who weren't able to get land that wasn't allocated to them because the Tsar kept it where they could be growing crops and food for the people, would walk around with signs that say, "Give me land." And then the peasants that were starving, that were under the boot of a monarchy that needed food, that walk around and said, "Give us food." And you had all these groups come together, right? The 99% and say, "We're going to take down the monarchy." I don't want to lose that, even if it's true, if it's untrue, if there's nuance to it. I don't want people to ever believe that this can't be done. So those are the parts of Marxism I embrace. I talk about this all the time. When people go, "Oh, capitalism is bad," right? That's the whole thing from the left, right? Capitalism is awful. Capitalism is bad. Well, what do you mean? That's kind of vague. I love markets. I love going to Nicaragua. I'm going to hand it over to you in 30 seconds there, Russ. I love going to Nicaragua, seeing what their socialist infrastructure projects have done, right? So they're a socialist country. They built roads and, you know, more transportations and buses and ways to move around. So what did that do? That opened up markets. Now this guy who's got a motorcycle and a cooler, Russ, can go to Bilwi or go to a beach community, buy a bunch of lobsters or fish from a local fisherman, get on his bicycle, his motorcycle, and now that the state built roads, can get that stuff to another part of the country and sell that stuff and get more food, healthier food, more clothes to feed and clothe his family. There's something beautiful about that, right? So when people go, "Oh, I'm anti-capitalism," I'm not anti-Marxism. I think that we have to find a way today to take the good from all these things, communism, socialism, capitalism, leave the bad out, understand what's wrong, and not just go feast or famine. That is a problem, by the way, in the Libertarian Party when it comes to their economics. They're too feast, right? they're not getting a middle road. They're not. People say I'm a socialist. I don't think the government should be infringing in families and telling them what to do. I don't think the state should be running the kid's life. I believe there's a role for government. It needs to be limited, but I do believe we're one species on one planet, and we can play nicely in the sandbox together, build things that help each other, grow things that feed each other, and we can do this together collectively. Go ahead, Russ.
Well, I agree. I hope he stays there on the beach on his little motorcycle and not come up to 96 and Broadway and run me down going the wrong way. Because I think that we're draining other countries of the labor and the most ambitious people. I get it. And I vote for the greater of two evils because it's insane to try to be sane in an insane world, okay? That's what's going on. I think we've got to rip the Band-Aid off the open wound. I want people to understand I'm not a David Axelrod Obamaite. I am a two-time Trump voter, a MAGA Marxist, but I want to tell you about David Axelrod. He graduated from my high school in 1972. I was there in the spring of 72, and David Axelrod was on the top of my high school throwing feces, chemicals, and everything else he could find with his friends at the police in front of our high school, because in 1972, that's what you did in high school. So, don't discount David Axelrod too much. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it because I keep watching the live chat. Somebody's on the line, right now, Craig?
Nobody's on the line, but you said a lot. That's a good
Okay,
call
you
in
very
for
much. Thank you, Kyle.
We'll take baby steps there, Russ. Love it.
Okie dokie. Walk me through.
Take baby steps,
Thank
baby.
you.
All right.
Do you want to defend libertarian economics, or do you want to just talk about something else?
I mean, we could generally move on. One thing he did said that I think is important for me to say as a libertarian is we do have an illusion of personal choice in this country, right? Like the government changes interest rates to determine how many people are going to be buying houses, or they hand out checks or give subsidies in certain markets. So we really don't have anything near a free market economy. And he brought up China there, and I was on with Rich Sanchez a few weeks ago, and he asked me, you know, if I thought China or Russia was more democratic than the United States of America. And democratic, maybe not, but I think you could argue that China has closer to a free market economy than the United States of America does.
Yeah. They have more opportunity. When he's
Yeah.
there, 90% of the people own their own homes. But then you have, oh, well, you know, the government owns the land, though. Yeah, we have the same thing over here. What do you?
They
what do
don't
you
have
call the
property
law?
taxes.
Yeah, what do you call
Well,
the
they
law?
don't have
though,
property
that allows
tax.
you-
And the
government-
most important thing is if you got a garden or you start building something in China, you could just start selling it. You don't need to get approvals from the health board and then get approvals from your town council to have a farm stand. You could just sell your products at a farm or a flea. You know what I mean? You just set up a cart, you put a sign on. That's the way capitalism is supposed to work. And you know, there is a lot of regulation and top-down economic control in China, but there's also a lot of economic freedom for the people at the bottom rungs of the society. And you have seen the bottom rungs of Chinese society really move up in recent years, where there was at, you know, the end of the Mao era, a lot of extreme poverty in China that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. We got another caller. This is a college show. I don't know if you guys noticed. It's drive time in the morning, guys. Do us a favor. Get us a like. Get us a share. Dave from Melbourne told us right out of the gate that, wow, I didn't get a notification that you go on, even though I'm subscribed. People tell me that all the time, right? This is what we deal with. This is what we're going to deal with. I mean, it's kind of cool that we're working together, Kyle, because I do believe that you are the other like entity. Like you're the kind of like, obviously, I think the libertarian mindset, they believe in capitalism. So I don't want to just kind of frame you as a conservative or a right wing or whatnot, but I think that the side that leans to the right, whatnot, the libertarian voices, they're getting censored over here. The independent left anti-imperialist voices, we're getting censored over there. Because I see like a lot of the numbers, I'm like, dude, they're censoring him, and I guarantee you they're not telling people who hit the bell that his show is on, because that's what they do. They do this shit all the time. Oh, it's a glitch. There's no such thing as a glitch. It's the computer doing what it's told to do. I'm told we have a caller on the line. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from?
I wasn't going to call, but I had to. It's Alex from Albuquerque.
Hi, lady Alex.
Isn't that silly? Alex from Albuquerque. I'll go with it.
I love it.
Hey, yeah. I just wanted to say, you know, this is something that just gets me sometimes. This whole thing, my feeling about, you know, identifying with, and I call it a cult or a group or a party or whatever. I'm a libertarian, I'm a green, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. All that stuff to me is complete bullshit, number one. Number two, this whole thing about red state, blue state, purple state, right and left, to me is complete bullshit. To me, there is no meaning. It's empty. It doesn't help us. We go along with these labels like it's something that we need to do to give us a feeling of importance, of belonging. There's something about these things that taps into something inside of us that we want to go with. I reject it all because basically, you know, and also to go along with this, if we're gonna, you know, if we all want to have a different world or a society where it's egalitarian, you know, basically, the road to that place, although we're not going to, as you know, I don't feel we're going to get there, but the dream road to get there, fantasy road to get there, is not by using, you know, expressing our desires for that within the framework of this current system. There's no reform, there's no baby steps, we accept crumbs, you know, and then putting ourselves in these categories like libertarian, Democrat, whatever we want to put ourselves in, is not productive in the discourse to discussing the things that we need and the road to get there. Again, even though I know we're not going to get there, but having these discussions within these frameworks and labeling ourselves, to me is non-productive and also negative. I don't know why, so it really gets me mad. I really get pissed off about it because it's impossible anyway, but to have these divisions into these groups and to adhere to these philosophies that maybe take 2 or 3 nice things and the rest are not productive. It just gets me really pissed off. And so, what I said in the chat, like if I'm going to use a label for myself, it's going to be humanist, if I'm going to label myself as anything. But I really don't understand why anyone would be so passionate and put so much energy into a party or into a specific group.
Yeah.
To me, it's not productive and
Can
negative.
I tackle that for you real quick?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, there's people calling you Albuquerque Alex now. Well, we usually say so and so is calling in from so and so. We might just be, instead of saying Alex calling in from Albuquerque, we might just say Albuquerque Alex calling in. Who knows? We might change the
Took
show.
me 10 years to learn how to spell that damn town.
I spell it wrong all the time. Like I had to go back and spell check it every single time. Is that
Every
spelled right, by the way?
I spell checked it every single damn time.
Me too.
I would have just put Alex from NM, New Mexico.
That's what I usually do, but I was trying to be fancy.
But A goes with A. It looks fancier.
So let me address your comments, and let me start by moving backwards. Number one, don't say we might not ever get there. It's useless anyways. Who knows? Aliens might come from outer space. Wait. Just hear me out. Aliens might come from outer space and equip the 99% to fight the ruling class. AI might realize, since it's learning, that there's a predator class out there and expose that predator class to save the working class, right? So there is hope there that we can hope.
I mean, we've already got AIs hacking into other AIs like without authorization. So
I think the first scenario is actually more likely than the second there, Pasta.
From outer space. They give me the Rick and Morty outfit and let me just rain terror on the ruling class and whatnot. So and I'm not a pacifist at all and stuff like that. But if I got that Rick and Morty suit, I'm eliminating the ruling class. I'm not trying to rehabilitate them. Sorry. I'm eliminating them. They've gone too far. It's too far down the road and whatnot. Now, as far as the real talk about the labels and stuff like that, I agree that sometimes, first of all, what is left and right anymore, right? I mean, what they define on the left nowadays in politics is nothing. I mean, I call myself a leftist all the time, and I don't align with the Democratic Party on so many things, right? Yeah, it's like, where the hell are they coming from? What defines leftists? And this is something that Garland Nixon has talked about, and he's been on our shows and stuff. But here's the problem, Alex. Whether we like it or not, and this is something important to take home with you, right? We have to do battle, because I'm doing battle from a point that maybe things can change, that it is not hopeless, that it's not useless, that even if it was hopeless and useless, I don't know, for some reason, something inside me, I don't know who put it there, who gave it to me, but my existence is to fight for
Jesus Christ gave it to you.
Well, sorry. Well, whoever did. I believe my whole existence is to fight for the people who can't fight for themselves, right? To try to lessen the death and destruction and the suffering on this planet, right? Like, I know when Buddhists say, oh, suffering is a way of life, you have to accept it. I get it. But we don't have to allow society to interject more suffering that is unnecessary, and that's what's going on. So a small group of people could have more toys, use our children as currency, while a bunch of people suffer and have less. That's what's going on. That's what I'm fighting for. Back to the labels. Whether we like it or not, that's the battlefield we're fighting on. Whether we like it or not, people identify themselves in America in this sports-like mentality. The only reason why I say to people, I'm a leftist libertarian, never been part of the Libertarian Party, but I do believe strongly in my civil liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of press. Also, my foreign policy does kind of mirror a little bit like the Ron Paul mentality. I still think, you know what I'm saying? I'm pro-immigrant. That's why I call myself a leftist, because I believe they are human beings. The reason why I identify myself as that is so I can build bridges of peace, saying, hey, man, you identify yourself as a conservative Christian. I identify myself as a leftist libertarian. Look at the conversations we had. Look how we just broke bread. Maybe since I've earned your respect as somebody who's in a different clan than you, we can then come to some solutions and find ways to build bridges of peace. So even though I know it's stupid and you hate it and whatnot, I do it so I identify as a leftist so I can unravel the leftist mentality. Go right ahead, Alex, and then we'll jump back.
Okay, Pasta. So yeah, I don't think it's, I understand you, but I think that it's important to, like I said, to sit back and look at this whole thing in front of you, you know, like all these things that I mentioned, you know, and say, no, I'm not going to use these terms. Why should I? And I'm not going to use these because I want to connect with other people. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to say my truth. And I don't have to say things or do things to, you know, to connect with others, to help others, to break bread, as you say, with others. No, I don't need to do it. It's not necessary. You don't have to adopt like cafeteria style. I'm not saying in a negative way, but people do a cafeteria style. You know, they take a little bit of this, they take from this, you know, because that might be something that helps them or makes them feel that whatever. You don't have to use the terms that are spoon-fed to us. We don't have to use these terms like millennial and boomer and red and blue and purple and Karen and pronouns and all this bullshit that's completely without substance, without importance. It is meaningless. It is just crappy labels and bullshit words that are empty and are divisive and spoon-fed to us from our societal bullshit, whatever, I don't know how to, whatever words you want to use to describe all this crap. Here we are in this morass of a hellscape with all this stuff going on that's been going on since we landed here and genocided people, and what we're living in now is just a result of the horror that we've inflicted on human beings, and we're experiencing all this shit. But we got to get away from all this stuff, and that's why I feel so strongly about these terms and words and labels and groups and parties, and all this stuff is a big zero to me. And we keep using it, and it's just playing along with the bullshit. I don't like it, and I reject it. And another thing, also, and I will end on this to tell you my feelings of strongly, this whole thing of borders and immigration, to me, is complete and total bullshit and completely en route with racism. There are no illegal aliens. That is bullshit. There is no borders. Those are synthetic. And I reject the Constitution and all American documents and this forefathers' foreskins. Ha, ha, ha. This whole white slave owner, male landowner bullshit. I reject all this stuff. Let's go back to our founding fathers. And people, you know, say, oh, we got to respect our Constitution. We got to get back to our Constitution. They use the Constitution as this shining star of that we have to get back to this incredible thing. No, we don't. And that's another thing, too. So we are living in this. Even people that want to change things are utilizing this crap. We got to get away from this stuff, really. And it just enrages me. These slave owner, white, misogynist genociders that founded this country, so important to us. So very, very important to who we are as a nation. And we must get back to it.
Yeah.
No, we don't. So I just want to tell you that.
No, you're hitting it on the nose. I think where we have different tactics, but we're trying to get to the same place, right? I would kind of agree on that, right? Because I don't, you know, when I said the forefathers today, I'm like you. I think that the borders are synthetic. Like, this is bullshit. Like, you know, I believe that we as humans on the planet all have a right to what's coming out of the ground of it. I don't think that one individual should be able to own water or something that produces energy. So I'm there, but let's let our co-host jump in and see what he has to say. And then we don't have anybody in the queue, so we have some time. It's 9:39. We got about 21 minutes left. If you want to follow up and call on in, 561-247-2970. 2721. We've been talking about labels, how to destroy it, how to destroy the oligarchy. Kyle Anzalone, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree, right? Like, I'm a part of the libertarian movement. I'm not an active member of the Libertarian Party, but it's a movement where we legitimately have people in the party whose ideas are actually further to the left than Pasta's are. And we also have people in the party who are essentially right-wing white nationalists, right? So it's a very diverse, and to call yourself a libertarian, it's just a very wide range of what that can mean to different people. That being said, I think it is a part of the human condition to use labels to find community. And I think really the unfortunate thing that we have in the United States of America now is, rather than people finding their community on the more local level, the people who are actually in their literal community, they have found their community around political parties. And so, their community for them is watching CNN and discussing it with their friends on Facebook or whatever the next day, rather than actually building the community around them. So I do think we have to recognize that people are going to continue to use labels in the future on how to identify themselves, and focus more on just making your political label being less important to you, less what you build your community around, and make it more about your local neighborhood and things like that.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, I don't say I'm on the left or right. Like, I agree with points from all kinds of people. So, I just don't subscribe to that anymore, and I haven't for years. So I'm kind of with Alex on this to a point, but you do have to talk to people.
Yeah.
And in this business, we have to talk to people.
I know you're in a different situation when you're doing this type of stuff. Yeah.
But not even though in the business of organizing, what you do and stuff like that too, Alex. You're gonna have to deal with people with labels, and to try to get them to open the eyes to what's going on, right? I'm assuming the reason why you join a lot of groups, why you get out there, why you have such a voice, is you want to reduce the amount of suffering that's on this planet, right? At the end of the day, if I ask you, why does Alex do what Alex does? What's the reason, Alex? You have a good heart, right? I mean, you tell me. Am I wrong or?
Oh, let me be perfectly honest with you. I was a psych nurse for 28 years, and I worked most of that time in the VA. So there's that. Interesting, right?
You don't do that for money.
Nurse.
You don't do that for money. Am I right or wrong? You don't do that job for money.
I did it.
That job is not done for money.
You know
There's a reason why somebody does that job.
I got to be honest. I'm not a Nancy Nice nurse. Like, I don't talk to people as a nurse, like in baby talk. And I'm one of these people that I do things because it's the right thing to do. I don't do things because I want to, be the nicey nurse thing. I'm not that. I didn't have that persona. When I was a nurse, I was like, this is something that has to be done because it's the right thing to do. That was my attitude as a nurse, and also to do things that are against the system as much as I could for the betterment of whatever, or whoever or whatever. That was just me. I'm right now in Jewish Voice for Peace. I joined my the local chapter because I wanted to, I'm being honest with you, I wanted to connect with other people, like-minded people who were focused on this horrible genocidal thing. And, and there's so many things going on that I could be a member of like 50 groups right now but right now I figured, these people are doing stuff out there, and I wanted to connect with others, not be so isolated in my world. But even within this group, I'm the most radical. It's so funny. I'm always the most radical person in a group. And when I say radical, I mean, a lot of them are like, isn't Mom Donnie wonderful? I'm like, no, and then I proceed to tell them why, but a lot of them are more, there's a mixture in this group of people like me, mostly more connected to Israel, not some have lived in Israel and worked on kibbutzes. Some are in like socialist, young, Jewish groups when they were younger. Most of the people in my group are anywhere from their 60s to their 80s, and they're doing a lot of stuff. They're very active, and they go out and they're, retired lawyers and writers and artists. I mean, it's an interesting group, but I do not, connect with everything. We're not like this purist group. But I do tell them how I feel, and we do discuss things. But we get out there. Like the next thing we're going to do, just to let you know, is October 9th in Albuquerque in the there's an old town. There's like a little gazebo there in the old town section of Albuquerque. And because there's so much going on in the world and this thing with Iran and Cuba and everything, we wanted to say, hey, don't forget, there's still a genocide going on, folks.
Yeah.
So we're going to stand out there on October 9th because October 10th, 2025 was the so-called new ceasefire, where we're going to say there has never been a ceasefire. People are we're still genociding people, and we're going to go out there and we're going to read the names of every single person that has been murdered by Israel in the United States since October 10th, 2025, the so-called ceasefire. Then we have this big puppet named Soma, and we're going to have the puppet, we're going to have kites, and we're going to all get out there with a sound system and read the names. And that's what I'm going to do because it feels good to do. It's something within my soul to do, and so that's what I do.
Because you do it because something inside says you want to reduce the amount of suffering on this planet that's unnecessary, right? Like that's the reason why you do it. Your heart, you got a great heart. I think it's amazing that you're going to go out there and read those names. I think it's awful. I mean, this is something that Gore Vidal said. We live in the United States of amnesia, that people are forgetting that a genocide is still going on to this day, taking place. My good friend over here, Kyle Anzalone, writes about it on a regular basis, right? I mean, this is crazy. Lady Alex, I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds because we do have 2 callers and we got 14 minutes left. And I got in trouble for my crew from going over. But take the last 30 seconds.
You're going to get punished.
I will. They'll be mad at me, my crew.
Hey, everybody. Well, I just want to say yet again, you have a fantastic, unique show, allowing people to call and say things, and it's a wonderful thing. It's very unique and it's needed. So needed. So needed. And Kyle, you're cool, even though I think the libertarianism is crappy, so don't take it as a personal thing. Yeah,
the show would be nothing without you, Lady Alex, and all the other people. You guys make the show. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to drive the bus.
Thank you, and all right. Take care, people.
Definitely.
Bye.
Lady Alex, too, if any way you can share in the chat some of these events going on, share them because it's great. Kyle, this is the time of the show I usually say, let me get your opinion on what she had to say, but I want to jump into some of these callers because I'm going to get in trouble for my crew if I don't wrap up on time. We have schedules, and I say we keep the schedules, and I agree with them. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Oh, do I need to turn off? I guess I need to turn this off. Turn off the volume. Hang on. This is Stephanie from Pennsylvania. Wait a minute. I got the volume. Do I what I need to do? Pause the video?
Yep, you're good.
You're good, Steph.
Okay. Yeah. Yep, this is Steph from Pennsylvania.
Welcome.
Who is this Pasta? I don't know who I'm talking to.
This is Pasta, and this is Drive Time. You're here with me,
hey,
Kyle.
Hi.
Sleepy.
Hi. Good morning, Pasta, Kyle, and chat. How are you?
We're good.
That's good. I'm going to sort of change the subject a little bit, but not completely. First of all, I wanted to say I agree with Alex. This whole construct is fake. Okay, there are no borders. Who are we to say you can't step foot over this line because you came from, a couple thousand miles away or what have you? I'm an anarchist. I love your show. I don't, I'm not the type of person who just tunes into like an echo chamber. I like to hear other people's points of views, but I basically just don't believe in any of this. I don't see why we can't just self-govern completely. But anyway, that having been said, I wanted to just give a couple resources. I would like to call back at a different time when I'm feeling a little bit better. I have been going through 10 months of absolute torture, and I will tell you why. I came off of a medication called a benzo, which when you come off of it, your nervous system, has been destroyed. And living in this wireless world, it is horrendous. I am 10 months out from the last dosage. And, you know, when I try to tell people this, they just look at me like I've grown 2 extra heads on my shoulder. But like I said, I could talk about this extensively, but there is a whole community out there of possibly millions of people. I don't have a number worldwide, but here, certainly here in the States, many people, as I'm sure everyone knows, are taking some form of psychotropic drug. And I don't know about all of them, but the SSRIs and the benzodiazepines are horrible when you come off of them. And I say that, having come off one, good morning, Fred, I see people saying hi. I came off one in 1981 when I was 21 years old, and I did it cold turkey because I didn't know any better, and I just threw them away. I felt weird, and I felt sort of antsy for a week or two, and then it was over with. But it wasn't to the point where I couldn't function. I couldn't get off. I couldn't get off the couch. Yeah, I see a comment here. You shouldn't be suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have talked to healthcare providers numerous times. I've been to the emergency room 5 times. Believe me, they do not do anything. But like I said, there's a whole community of people online. If you look at Dr. Joseph's channel, he has a bunch of interviews of people. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here, but my body's going crazy right now.
That's okay. We're with you, Steph. We're here with you. Go ahead.
Well, I'm calling to make a point here. Everyone's always looking for solutions, but people don't like the solutions that take away their convenience. But I am telling you, we need to give up wireless. It is absolutely destroying everything. I mean, the insects, that's multifactorial. I mean, it doesn't help all the crap they spray in the sky and whatnot. But the wireless, I believe, that's kind of the linchpin of what's taking them out. Because if it can do this to a human body, imagine what it's doing to a little tiny insect. But anyway, I just want to give some resources. I'll call back at a different time if and when I ever get my normal body back. People need to read 2 books, at least. The Body Electric by Dr. Robert O. Becker and The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. And then if you go to a channel called EMF Conference, if you just look for a thumbnail, it says, what is electrohypersensitivity? There's about an hour-long PowerPoint. And if you scroll forward, if you don't want to watch the whole hour, if you scroll forward to symptoms, there's a whole plethora of symptoms. And I have been going through absolutely all of that. And all the people in this community, they have no idea what's happening to them. Doctors will not help them. And I don't know if people are gatekeeping or if people honestly just don't know, that this is being, I'm sorry, I have a hard time sometimes looking for the word, but that this is being aggravated by all the wireless. And you can't get away from it. You can get a Faraday bag or whatever, but that stuff's all coming to your house. And it's ubiquitous. You cannot get away from it. And I can tell you, this is destroying people's lives. There are some people that absolutely can't even tolerate this whole process, and they take themselves out, which is tragic to me.
Steph,
but anyway, if people can read
Steph,
those,
I don't want you to leave us though. Can you hold on 1 second, because I want you to stay. We do have another caller. We have a few minutes, but I want to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got a question, Steph, and it's important because I think we're talking about 2 areas. We're talking about the American medical system when it comes to these SSRIs, these benzos. There's something about that, and then we're talking about wireless, whatnot. Like 5Gs is killing the bees, right? If you kill the bees that can't pollinate, we die. We need to address that.
See,
that's something different, though. But,
I know, but see, that's the problem. That's the problem, Pasta. It's not just 5G. There was a lot of focus put on 5G when it came out, but it's everything. It's even, there are people who have gotten sick from just being near wired electricity lines.
Yeah.
It's the whole spectrum. That's why I said people need to read the book called The Invisible Rainbow, because the rainbow is the entire spectrum.
I get it. But I want to go through the other conversation. I want to do the other conversation first, because that I don't know what it is. I know that conversation, what you're talking about, but I want to talk about the other conversation because you said something to me, and I took my glasses out because it's making my heart bleed. Because even Alex, who's a triage nurse, she was a nurse for veterans, and she worked for, but she even said that you shouldn't be suffering so much. And
I know.
And you have to
People
call in a
shouldn't
little
be,
bit
but that's
earlier.
the whole point.
You have to get
Yeah,
back with us earlier, and we have to have a longer conversation. But
Yeah,
let me
well,
ask
like
you
I
one
said,
question.
I just wanted to throw out a few resources, and then
Yeah.
when I get myself a little more
This is
together, I
important
would like to have a more extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you got off benzos at the age of 21. You got off one. You just threw them away, whatnot, and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
When I talk to people,
Yeah.
when it comes to opioids, when it comes to benzos, when it comes to, Adderall, all these other things, whatnot, sometimes it's just not as easy as just say no. It's not that easy, Nancy Reagan, right? There's reasons why they prescribe to them. I want you to take 30 seconds to a minute, and we're going to continue this conversation on this show. If you could go back and change something, right? What would you have done differently than maybe take that benzo? In other words, people say, just don't take this, don't take that. But what's the solution? What could you have done differently, Steph?
Well, I believe that I've been sensitive to electricity. Well, we didn't have wireless back then. I believe that's why it wasn't that hard. And I just wanted to say
we did. Radars everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's true. I see someone making a comment, don't sleep with devices. I don't use wireless. I have an Ethernet cable. But what I would do differently, but we had no way of knowing back when I was in my 20s that people could be sensitive to this stuff. I can't get through to people now in 2026. They just look at you like you're nuts. And there is so much, there's decades and decades of research out there. And if I had known when I was younger that the reason I always felt so antsy and nervous and, I couldn't relax, that it wasn't a mental problem. It was a physical, somatic problem I was experiencing. But when I went on a different benzo later on in my mid-20s, I had such a relief and I didn't feel weird on it. I just felt normal. And of course, doctors, they just keep prescribing things on and on and on and on forever. And when I decided I didn't want to take it anymore, that's when the medical profession completely lets you down. They just dismiss you, and that's the way things work. But they do sell house phones, and I'm not sure why people feel they have to have technology. We have to progress technology. We have to have cell phones. We really don't. If people are really going to be absolutely honest, you really don't. But I don't want to take time. I know we're going on the 10 o'clock hour here.
This conversation because I still think that aside from the electricity and the wireless issues, that there's an issue with those drugs and what they do to you. So we have to find.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, they destroy your nervous system. So with a destroyed nervous system, then you are not able to cope with all the wireless that you could, when your nervous system is intact. Yeah. And it just takes time. I mean, I believe I'm coming out the other end, but it has been a long haul, 10 months. So, but yes,
we'll be here in the mornings with you. We'll be here in the mornings with us. Yes, listen up, call in, be part of the conversation. Anything we can do, sweetheart.
Oh, I do. I chat here and there. It's just sometimes I just kick back and I listen, but I'm usually here in the background lurking. But I would like to talk it a little more extensively. But if people can just kind of look into it. Just quickly, there's another channel called EMF Remedy on YouTube, and he has some excellent interviews with some scientists like Ollie Johansson. He has the guy who wrote The Invisible Rainbow. People need to check that out, get educated, and we can talk later about it. And I appreciate your time, Pasta. Love the show.
Thank you, Steph. We love you, and I hope you suffer less and less each day, and you come out of this, and you come out of it strong. Thank you so much for calling in.
So do I. Thank you. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too, Steph. We're going to take the last caller. Oh, my God. Why are the phone lines getting jammed now? Oh, now the phone lines are getting jammed. Caller, you there?
Hello.
Who are you? Where are you calling from?
It's Ed from Jamaica, Queens. How you doing, Craig?
Ed, we're wrapping up the show. You're one of my favorite people who call in and stuff like that, but we are wrapping up the show. I'm going to give you the final thought of the day and let you do it. So do you just run with it, and then we're going to close out the show.
Listen, brother, you know where I'm at. I mean, I work at night, so you look at I forced myself to stay up to catch you, but tear it down. Listen, all politics is local, and the way I got into it, my mother, we lived in Jamaica, Queens, and on 146th Street there was a garbage problem, and it pissed my mother off. So we were kids, me and my brother and her, we go out there, we sweep the streets. Other neighbors saw us sweeping the streets. It turned into a group, and it turned into a block association, and it turned into a movement. And eventually we got garbage cans installed on the street. And it's just that small. You got to start where people can get their heads around things. If you try to take too much too soon, people lose interest, they get confused, they get lost. Start with local issues. Start small and build. And that's it. But we got to tear it down. Power to the people, baby.
Thank you, Ed. And Kyle did talk about people got to pay attention to what's right in front of them. They don't want to pay attention to what's going to happen right down the road. Ed from Jamaica, Queens pointed out, start locally. Affect change right in your neighborhood. That's the way to have a movement. That's the way for things to take place. Kyle, who do you got on your show this week? What's going on over there? 500 episodes. You sneaky little devil. You got to come have some pasta.
It was actually 500 news articles at antiwar.com that I'm at now. Although I do most of my writing at the Libertarian Institute, I just fill in for Dave DeCamp when he takes an occasional vacation or has a kid. So I write articles there then. Pasta, maybe next week I could, since you said 5G kills the bees, it reminded me of this great article we have published at antiwar.com about how sonar is killing the whales and dolphins. And I would love to talk to you and your audience about that, because that's actually a real important issue that doesn't get discussed. And on tomorrow's show, I will have Connor Eccles today. I'm probably rolling solo, still looking to put together a last minute guest, but I might be solo on today's show.
Connor's awesome. And so are you, brother. And I love the new studio. The AC's blowing that plant all over the place, a little distracting. But other than that, it looks really nice in there. You should get a nice Stalin book right over there and put it so this you can see Joseph Stalin right there.
He's here to him and Karen say they're here to convert us.
Right? I do have,
but I already kind of agree with Kyle on a lot of shit
on the shelf over there for you, Pasta. So
what do you got?
I got my collection of Albert Camus books over here. So I do have some one leftist author on the show.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I'd rather go with Mario Batali up there or somebody else. Thank you so much, Kyle, for always coming down on Thursdays. We appreciate it. Good luck over there.
Thank you, Pasta.
Go check out his show, guys. Go subscribe. Kyle, put a link to your show in the chat, maybe a YouTube, a Rumble, so people can find you and go check it out. I want to thank everybody for calling in today. The last call from Easy Ed from Queens. He's one of my favorite callers. He talks about disassembling the system, not playing that game left versus right. We started off the show with Daryl from the Boogie Down Bronx. He's also a WBAI caller. It's awesome that he was able to call in. It's great to see some of those people kind of move on over. Russ from White Plains, another WBAI caller. 3 callers today from WBAI that live in New York. He's from White Plains. He calls himself a Marxist, Trump Marxist or whatever it is. Bob from Atlantis, he's old school over here, baby, holding it down in the Rumble. Of course, Lady Alex from Albuquerque. Lady Alex, I always appreciate everything you got to say. I appreciate when you call in. And, of course, Stephanie from Pennsylvania, who's going through some problems right now, but we're going to support you. We love you. And thank you for bringing that knowledge about wireless and what's going on. I think it's something that needs to be talked about. I would like to talk a little bit more about, addiction and drugs and what's prescribed in this country. I've said before, a drugged out, upset, desperate society is an easier society to control. So we have to look at those things and see how it factors in. Look, I want to thank Gabrielle Freedom, who's been in the chat all day, holding it down there. Our executive producer, of course. She's amazing. She showed all the ways you can help out the show. And I want to thank Sleepy Josh, who's been working through all these crazy storms, no electricity, all this BS, and waking up nice and early to be here with me. I couldn't have done the show without you. Thank you so much, Sleepy J. Look, as we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Okay? Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint, share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and that peace growing. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Join on in tomorrow. We're going to have Andrew Ziegman from the Action for Assans group. Of course, Sleepy J and Gabrielle and all you lovely people will be here with us. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Go forth and be nice to one another. Peace.